They both fall under the umbrella of a disorder called antisocial personality disorder, which I was diagnosed with that when I was 18 years old. You don't form normal emotional attachments to people generally. You lack empathy, so when people are going through stuff, it affects normal people, it doesn't affect you. People who have this.
That is David Wood, and he's one of the most famous Christian apologists on the internet. He's brilliant, he's fearless, and as you just heard, he is a clinically diagnosed sociopath. Now, he admits he doesn't feel love or empathy the way that you and I do. Now, in any other context, we might call this dangerous. We might ask if a man with this diagnosis should be representing the gospel of grace. But I've watched hours of his content, from the Ivy League debates to the chaotic speaker's corner, and I finally come to a conclusion about David Wood. And honestly, it's not what I expected. Is God using a sociopath to save souls, or is his style doing more damage than good? That's the question we're uncovering. So in the same vein of my Sam Shamoun expose, let's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of David Wood. But first, like and subscribe so that we can keep this thing going, all right? Let's start with the good. And when David Wood is good, he's undeniable. I would even argue that he's untouchable. And if you only know David Wood from his YouTube skits, you might not realize that he is an absolute juggernaut of an intellect. We're talking about a man with a PhD in philosophy who can stand toe-to-toe with the world's leading atheists and Muslim scholars. When the suit is on, David, he's precise, he's logical. He dismantles arguments with surgical precision. You can watch his debate with Alex O'Connor on a variety of topics. You don't see a troll there. You see a formidable philosopher who understands the text and the logic better than almost anyone in the room. But the greatest evidence of the good isn't his debates. It's the fruit that he produces. You can't talk about David Wood without mentioning one person. You probably guessed it. I'm talking about the late Nabeel Qureshi. David was the relentless, logical wall that Nabeel crashed into time and time again until he surrendered his life to Christ. Now, Nabeel wrote in Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, that David's persistence, his unwillingness to back down, was key to his salvation. If David Wood had been a soft sissy, if he had been more worried about offending Nabeel than saving him, we might never have had Nabeel Qureshi, and he wouldn't be with our Lord right now. So the intellect is there, the fruit is there, but then the suit comes off, and that brings us to the bad. And this is where many of you, especially those of you with a more traditional Christian background, this is where you get uncomfortable. See, David Wood doesn't just refute bad ideas, he mocks them, he satirizes them. He engages in what I call a theology of trolling. And we have our running text for this theme here. It's 1 Peter 3:15, and it commands us, always be prepared to give an answer, but do this with gentleness and respect. So how you do it matters. And when I watch David smash things with a hammer or dress up in costumes or eat a Quran page or to intentionally trigger an entire religion, I have to ask, where is the gentleness? Where is the respect? Where is the grace with the truth? And to the average observer, this looks like carnal warfare. It looks like the flesh, not the spirit. When he descends into the mud of YouTube and TikTok, when his videos are specifically designed to incite rage in Muslims, is he winning souls or is he just winning views or for the algorithm? And there's a fine line between exposing foolishness and becoming foolish to prove a point. And often it feels like David isn't just crossing that line. It seems like he's actually sprinting there with a smile on his face. But there's something uglier here than just a rude video. Sometimes we have to be harsh with respect. And it goes back to that diagnosis we heard at the beginning of the video. And it's that David has said that his sociopathy is actually his superpower. Because he lacks empathy, he doesn't fear cancellation. He doesn't fear death threats, and he gets them. He doesn't feel the social pressure to be nice that silences so many other Christians out there. But here's the danger, and the danger is imitation. I see young men on TikTok, on YouTube, all over the internet trying to be David Wood. You all adopt the aggression, they adopt the mockery, they adopt the jerk persona. And most of y'all suck at winning souls. I'm just going to be honest. But here's the problem. You're not David Wood. One more time for those in the back. You are not David Wood. You don't have his diagnosis, and frankly, most of y'all don't have his PhD intellect. When David does it, it's a calculated strategy by a neuroatypical apologetics genius. When you do it, you're just not really doing anything at all. There's a massive risk that a generation of young apologists think that lacking empathy is a fruit of the Spirit. Well, it is not. So we have a man who admits he has no empathy, who mocks his opponents, and who turns apologetics into a contact sport. So does Apex Apologetic, does Dr. Shawn Michael condemn David Wood? Actually, no. In fact, I appreciate him, and here's why. You see, we have plenty of apologists in the ivory towers of academia. We have plenty of scholars who can write best-selling books that honestly maybe 12 people will read. We have plenty of nice Christians who are so terrified of offending the world that they say nothing at all. And David Wood is the rare warrior who can do both. He can walk into a university and dismantle a philosopher, and then he can walk right out to the messy, chaotic battleground of the internet and meet people where they are. He speaks internet, he speaks troll, and because he's willing to speak that language, he reaches people that my videos and maybe a nice church service out there never will. You see, God has a history of using wild men. Samson was a wild man. John the Baptist was a wild man. They didn't fit in at a traditional dinner party. They were abrasive, but they were necessary. Now, we don't all need to be David Wood. In fact, please don't try to be him. Be who God has led you to be. But looking at the landscape of modern apologetics, I'm definitely glad that he's on our side. So what do you think? Is his strategy genius or has he gone too far? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more apologetics as I seek to take down the Iglesia Ni Cristo cult. This is Apex Apologetic. We exist to equip Christians to engage culture with biblical clarity and to defend the faith once for all delivered to the saints. I'm Dr. Shawn Michael, and I'll see you next time. Out.